Let's bring in our panel right now. Derek Maltz, former DEA Special Operations Director, and Gordon Chang, Gatestone Institute Senior Fellow. He's also the author of The Coming Collapse of China and the Great U.S.-China Tech War. Derek, I want to start with you because we just heard AG Garland saying that they're working to dismantle the dangerous cartels trafficking fentanyl. So can you explain what such work entails, how dangerous it is, and can it really stop or at least substantially decrease the alarming levels of fentanyl making it over our borders?
Well, thank you for having me. DEA and other law enforcement agencies every day are going out, disrupting and hitting these cartels and their organizations in America very hard. But unfortunately, that's not good enough, Arthel. We need to destroy the fentanyl production chemical labs in Mexico, because right now the cartels are operating with impunity. They are teamed up with the Chinese Transnational Criminals, and they are destroying our country and our future generation. Right now, as an example, just like this week or last week, 656,000 fake pills were seized by Homeland Security and the Riverside Sheriffs. Last 2 weeks, we seized 1 million pills in DEA out in Los Angeles. So we have so many seizures of massive amounts of pills and deadly fentanyl.
Right.
We got to destroy it at the source.
How do you do that, though? How do you go into Mexico and destroy those labs there?
It's real simple. You use the state-of-the-art technology that we have in America. You work with the Mexicans. If they don't want to work with us, then we have to take care of our America first and protect these little kids that are dying as young as 13 years old. We have technology. You declare them terrorists, just like former Attorney General Barr said recently.
I know.
They treat them like ISIS.
I hear what you're saying, and I got to get to Gordon, but my thought right now is, like, if you're saying that if the Mexican government won't work in concert with the U.S. to obliterate those drug cartel labs in Mexico, then if we're going in unilaterally, I don't know if that's going to create other problems. But I want to move on, because then I want to stick. Go ahead. I got to get Gordon in there. You see what I'm saying? It seems like it's complicated. Go ahead.
You do it with the drones. You don't have to do it. We're not talking about a war with Mexico. We're talking about saving
No, I know, but you're still going into Mexican territory. I mean, anyway, let me show a few. I'm with you. We need to get this off of our streets, to be clear. But let me show a few maps illustrating the flow of fentanyl and precursor chemicals. Gordon, China remains the primary source of fentanyl and fentanyl-related substances. Is this a national security threat originating from China? Should this be considered, as we just heard, weapons of mass destruction, keeping in mind that some pharmaceutical companies use some of those precursor chemicals to make legal prescription drugs? So, my question to you, does the U.S. have any leverage to stop the Chinese export of pills and the precursors to our black market?
I think the United States does have that leverage. And, there's a number of different ways we can go about this, because China right now, especially with its declining economy, needs the U.S. far more than we need China. China is the ultimate source of these precursor chemicals. And really, the cartel that we should be talking about is the Chinese Communist Party, because in its near total surveillance state, these fentanyl gangs could not operate. And China, I think, is a national security threat, as you pointed out, largely because China wants to weaken the United States with this fentanyl traffic.
And I was going to ask you that. Is it possible that the Chinese government, either on the local level or national level, knows about the illegal exports and possibly, I don't know, getting a cut of the profit? Just asking.
Well, certainly it gets a cut of the profit. China's total surveillance state, 540 million cameras with facial recognition. We also know the fentanyl gangs are large, they're well organized. They can't operate in China's surveillance state without the Communist Party knowing about it and in many cases actually profiting from it. But also we know that in the past, these gangs used the Chinese state postal system to get fentanyl into the United States. Now they launder their proceeds through the Chinese state banking system. This is the Communist Party being all in on the fentanyl trade.
Derek, as part of its One Pill Can Kill initiative, from May 23rd through September 8th, the DEA seized 10.2 million fake pills. So much of the deadly drug is still on our streets, though. Is it time maybe for another federal Just Say No style drug awareness campaign from the 80s, fronted by then First Lady Nancy Reagan. I mean, how can we protect our children and keep them alive?
Well, certainly you need a very robust demand education program because we have to stop the demand, right? So we need the Department of Education, we need the Drug Czar's office to do public service announcements. We need role models, professional athletes, celebrities to get this message out on the social media reels. The kids are not watching cable news or Fox News or CNN. They're watching, or mainstream media, they're watching the reels all day and all night. They're obsessed with their phones. They're ordering this poison on their social media apps. So, yes, we need to get the message out. One last thing I want to say, and I'm glad Gordon brought it up. The Chinese transnational criminals are picking up millions of dollars worth of cash in America from the cartels and laundering the money back to the drug traffickers. So they're providing very critical components of this crisis.
So, Derek, is the fentanyl operation then too big and too rampant to stop?
Well, look, in my opinion, the only way you're going to stop it, Gordon made up some great points with the Communist Party of China. We have to put pressure on them, have to stop the chemicals, but we must destroy the fentanyl processing labs. If Al-Qaeda or ISIS had a biological weapon lab in Mexico, we wouldn't be sitting back and letting kids die 300 a day. It's unacceptable.
Listen, I want to talk more about that premise. It just doesn't fit so much into this conversation, but it's an interesting point you raised. So maybe we'll get you back on to talk about that aspect of it. Gordon, final question for you. Is American leadership not strong enough to stand up to it?
American leadership certainly is not strong enough because this is, in my mind, is not as much an issue of Chinese criminality and Chinese intention against the United States, but really it's the issue of American presidents, recent ones, both parties, liberals and conservatives, not exercising American power where there's a known danger to protect Americans. American presidents can stop a lot of this. They have chosen for various reasons not to do so. The American people ought to be outraged.
Well, they are. Too many children are dying. Too many parents are mourning. Derek Maltz and Gordon Chang, thank you both for your expertise, and we'll see you both back again. Thank you very much.